seen a radiator fall out of a car? I haven't.
Never did.
Anyway, now here come all of the fans around the ambulance, and we get them out of the ambulance and we put them in. We know, but what happened is that they were in the ambulance, and then all of a sudden the armored car had air in its tires, and it came up and circled. And we got them out of the ambulance into the armored car. And I swear to God, man, the armored car was a mound of girls.
Oh, my
mound
God.
of girls.
Wow.
And then something happened that I can never, ever explain, and I still don't know it happened. All of a sudden, the Hells Angels motorcycle group showed up.
Mm-hmm.
They came up and circled the armored car. The girls got scared and backed off. And the Hells Angels led the Beatles off of Dodger Stadium.
Oh, wow.
That's the last time I saw the two of them.
Amazing. I heard that when they played, it was so hard to hear them because the screams from the girls would overpower the Beatles. Is that true?
Yeah. It was always that. But they were easy to work with. They were very nice to work with. Lennon was a little difficult,
Mm-hmm.
and Ringo and Paul and George, they were good to work with. Though I had a good time.
Oh, that's so awesome. And what was Brian Epstein like to work with?
Well, I personally think that Brian Epstein, even though the Beatles really loved him,
Mm-hmm.
I think he cost them millions of dollars.
Really?
Because all 3 years, the top price he would let me charge was $7.
Wow.
Now, McCartney played out here not too long ago, and the front row seats went for $2,500.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So, and they never had any merchandise. So with $7 and no merchandise, I really believe he cost them millions of dollars.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, definitely that did work for them as well. Unbelievable, for sure. You also responsible for many careers, Bob. I mean, Dolly Parton, right? I mean, getting her into the business. What was Dolly like to work with in the early years?
She was wonderful. She came to me. I bought Porter Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I bought Porter is because I knew Dolly was on the show.
Right.
She was making $500 a show.
Mm-hmm.
And while Porter, the only time you could talk to Dolly then is when Porter was on stage.
Right.
So when he was on stage on the first show, she sneaked into my dressing room and she says, "I'm leaving Porter and I want you to manage me." I says, "Oh my gosh." Oh. So anyway, I had to cancel. I had offered Porter 100 dates at $3,000.
Right.
I had to cancel all of that. So I managed Dolly for 2 years.
Right.
And she was wonderful. But she came to me then. She says, "I've got to leave you because the guys in Nashville
Mm-hmm.
think that I have a West Coast manager, and it's really, really bothering them, and it's really pressure on me." And I said, "Well, I understand that, sweetheart."
Right.
So we parted ways. But a year later, I got a call from Dolly. She was at the Beverly Hills Hotel,
Right.
and she wanted to have a meeting. So I went down. She said, "Will you manage me again?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh, hon," I said, I've got Barbara Mandrell and one Everly brother. I simply don't have the time." And that was the biggest mistake I ever made in my career, because this wonderful lady's worth about $600 million right now, and I had 10%.
Wow. And also, you oversaw a concert that put Mick Jagger's life was a little bit in jeopardy. Tell us about that.
Well, Jagger was difficult, and the Rolling Stones were very difficult to work with. Their road crew was really tough,
right.
And it was awful. And I walked in the dressing room, and they were changing clothes, and they had taken their jeans off, and I swear to God, they'd had them on for 3 years because they had blue all over their legs.
Oh, wow.
And they were just difficult.
Right.
But when they got on stage, they were magical. They were wonderful.
Wow.
And but I told them the second year, I paid them $4,000 the first year. The second year, I said, look, when you're done, I've got a limo out there waiting for you. Get out there. And
yeah.
so at the end of the concert, Jagger, he hung up on the stage and he was waving at everybody and giving the girls time to get around to the limousine. And we finally got him into the limousine. And the last time I saw the Stones, they were laying on their back with their feet against the top of the limousine so it wouldn't cave in. There was a mound of girls.
Wow.
And Mick was mad. And he said, we'll never work for you again. And I said, that's okay with me. You know, I don't want to work with you again either.
Yeah, I heard Elvis had a lot of those situations with that, with the cars and stuff like that. Did you ever have any interaction with Elvis at all over the years?
No, I did not, except the second year, 1965, when the Beatles, they wanted to play Hollywood Bowl, but they also wanted to meet Elvis.
Right.
So Brian Epstein, the manager, and Colonel Parker, Elvis's manager, had a meeting, and they agreed that the Beatles would go over to Elvis's house in Bel Air and meet Elvis.
Right.
So they did. They went over there, and there were some girls in the driveway. They couldn't figure what that was out. But anyway, they finally went inside, and Elvis wasn't in the room, so they were just waiting for him to come down. And McCartney found something that just blew him away. It was this thing you could put in your hands, and it would change the television channels. And he had never seen anything like that before, you know.
Yeah. Elvis was ahead of his time.
Finally came down. They just stared at Elvis, and Elvis finally said, look, you guys, if you're not going to talk to me, I'm going to go back up and go to bed. So they ended up, you know, getting out the guitars and singing with Elvis, except for the drummer.
Right.
You know, he played, he was playing or gambling with Colonel Parker, the manager.
Oh, wow.
And they invited Elvis to come to the concert, but he didn't want to do that. So,
yeah.
But I never did meet Elvis.
Really?
I really did.
Too bad nobody pressed the tape recorder with that jam session.
Oh boy, yeah.
You know?
I did.
Yeah. You were on the road with country legend Merle Haggard for a long time, right? 10 years? That must have been awesome.
Years.
Wow.
Haggard and I, we never had a crossword in 10 years, and I'm in the process right now of writing a book called Short Stories About Big People.
Oh, okay.
And I could probably fill the book with 10 years of Merle Haggard.
Wow.
I mean, he married Bonnie Owens, who was Buck Owens' ex-wife.
Right.
And when they got a divorce, Bonnie was the bridesmaid at Merle's next wedding. You can believe that one.
Oh, wow.
But, Hag spent 2 years and 9 months in San Quentin. And Ronald Reagan, who was the governor of California, he finally pardoned Merle. Mm-hmm. And I took him to the White House for Mrs. Nixon's birthday, and that was a fun time. And,
right.
But, Hag, he was just a really nice guy, and I enjoyed working with him very much.
Yeah.
I remember one time I sold Merle to a guy named Ralph Lee down in North Carolina. And he said, I'm going to introduce Merle Haggard. I says, no, Ralph, I'll introduce you. He no, sir, this is my shoe. I'll introduce you. I said, okay, but you have to say exactly what I tell you. He said, I'll do it. I said, you say, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the poet of the common man, Merle Haggard. He said, I got it. He gets up on the stage and he says, well, here he is, the poet and common man, Merle Haggard.
Wow. And I also heard that he was in the audience when Johnny Cash played Folsom Prison.
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And also,
that's what, Merle told Johnny, he said, the first time I saw you, John, I got in free. He said, you sneak in? He said, no, I was put in.
That's amazing. Also, a friend of mine, a country star, her name is Lee Newton, her husband, they own the Chief, which is Merle Haggard's tour bus. And I know they get a lot of spiritual happenings on that bus still. They think Merle is still on that bus from the stories that they tell me. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. But he was, you know, and I also did some George Jones, Tammy Wynette concerts.
Uh-huh.
And one time because George was a heavy drinker,
Mm.
and they took his driver's license and his car away from him. But he wanted to drink real bad.
Right.
So he got arrested on the turnpike going to Nashville
Oh, wow.
on his lawnmower.
Amazing. Crazy.
You can imagine being on a lawnmower on a turnpike.
Only George Jones would be able to do that one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Tell me how you got into television. Of course, you hosted so many great game shows. Of course, the Newlywed Game and so many other great game shows. How did that all happen for you? How did you make that transition?
Well, our radio station was playing a basketball game, and Bobby Boris Pickett was on our team. And I asked him, I said, Bobby, who's your agent?
Mm-hmm.
He says, well, it's Noel Rubloff. And my friend Charlie O'Donnell said, you can't sign with Noel Rubloff, dude. You have to have a lot of credits.
Right.
So I bet him $5. I had a meeting with Rubloff, and he said, well, Chuck Barris has the dating game on the air, but he's also got another news show called the Newlywed Game
Right.
that he's trying to sell. So I ended up auditioning for that one, and son of a gun, I got it.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, and the first day of the show, I was standing in my dressing room, and I had, well, let me tell you, when we were showing the network boys the show,
Mm-hmm.
we had 4 couples up on the stage. And couple number 1 was an unknown comedian named Dom DeLuise and his wife, Carol.
Oh, wow.
But down at the end, now the guys had flown out from New York. Down at the end was a cute little girl, and I said, what's your favorite nickname for your husband? And she said, Numbnuts. And the ABC guys fell over backwards laughing, went upstairs and bought the show without a pilot.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
But the first day of the show, I'm standing in my dressing room, and I remember, I said, God, you got to help me. I don't really know kind of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still a disc jockey.
Right.
And there's a knock on the door, and I open the door. Here stands 2 guys in suits, and I think, oh, it must be ABC guys here to say good luck.
Right.
And he said, Bob. I said, yeah. He hands me a subpoena for a felony payola.
Oh, boy.
And I hadn't done anything wrong. I mean, they eventually canceled it.
Right.
But I went out on the stage for the first show with a subpoena in my pocket on a felony charge. And I got through the first show somehow, but Barris came to me afterwards. He said, Bobby, we got to talk. I said, what's the matter? He said, you've just done something I've never seen anybody do before.
Uh-huh.
I said, what'd I do, man? He said, you went a half hour without blinking.
Wow.
But he let me learn how to do it.
Uh-huh.
And I learned a great deal.
Tell us about the term making whoopee. How did making whoopee come about, Bob? I know you created that, right?
Well, they wanted me to say, make love.
Right.
And I said to them, I don't think that we should do that. You shouldn't have to explain that to your children until you were ready to do so.
Right.
So Sinatra had a hit record at the time called Making Whoopee.
Right.
And I'll say whoopee. And that's how it all came down.
Amazing. I mean, so many great stories. And did you have a favorite episode? I know I'm going to get asked that question.
Oh, boy. Well, I asked the lady one time, where's the strangest, most unusual place?
Uh-huh.
And she said, well, she used the A word. I said, no. I need a location.
Right.
So when they did the movie Confessions of a Dangerous Mind,
uh-huh.
they called this lady. She was up in the northern part of the country, and they said, Olga, we're going to put that clip in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh, no, please don't. I'm a grandmother now. I said, well, it's worth $5,000. She said, you go right ahead and put it in there.
Oh, wow. Also, you did Card Sharks. Did you? Which one did you enjoy better? Did you like that one more than Newlywed, or did you like Newlywed more than Card Sharks?
Yeah, Card Sharks was a lot of fun for me because, you could have fun with the contestants and then play the game too.
Right.
And so I enjoyed Card Sharks. I really did. Mark Goodson was the producer,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a fun time. I remember Bob Barker and we shared a dressing room. Barker was on Price is Right.
Right.
And up on the wall, there was this very pretty framed piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
And it said WGMC. And being the jerk I was at the time, I took it off the wall and
right.
put it away. And so I'm out at my ranch and we're roping cattle and having a good time. I get an emergency phone call from Jonathan Goodson, the producer, and he said, "Where's Barker's piece of art?" He said, "Don't mess with me. Where is it? We're going to do 5 shows and he won't go on it until we find it."
Oh boy!
You gotta be kidding me! I said, "That's under the couch."
Wow!
I said, "What does WGMC mean?" He says, "World's greatest MC."
Oh wow! A little bit of an ego there, no?
Yeah, you think, huh?
You think? So, did you have any real close friends besides Bob Barker? I know Richard Dawson was there, of course. Wink Martindale. Did you keep in touch with all those guys at that time when they were doing shows?
Wink Martindale's wife was my secretary.
No, really? Wow.
And he was on the radio station too, and she would play the radio. And I said, "Sandy, turn that damn radio down, man. I'm trying to do some business." She says, "Oh, I can't. He gives me a test every night."
Oh wow! Also, yeah, I hear Sandy. She dated Elvis and Tom Jones, from what I understand.
Yes,
oh no, actually, I'm sorry, not Tom Jones. Wayne Newton, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know that she dated Elvis, though.
Yeah, pretty wild story there. But you also named one of TV Guide's top game show host of all time. So, did you have any influences as far as television host before you got started in television?
No, none at all. All my life I just wanted to be a disc jockey,
right?
And that just came along by happenstance.
Yeah.
I ended up producing then some television.
Mm-hmm.
I did Buddy Hackett's "You Bet Your Life."
Right.
That was a piece of work. And
I heard he was difficult to deal with sometimes. Was that true?
Oh my God, was he ever? Was he ever? And he just couldn't stand. And here again, my contention is that comedians and actors have problems
right
being game show hosts because they can't stand for anybody else to be funny.
Right.
And he would just ream them. And it was not pretty. I was over at his house one night for dinner. I walked in, Glenn Ford and his wife were there.
Right.
And pretty soon Cary Grant walks in with his wife.
Oh, wow.
And, he's a very big actor at the time. And
right.
He says, "I have to sit next to you at dinner." I said, "Why?" He says, "Well, Barbara and I, we watch the Newlywed Game every night."
Oh, wow.
Says, "Cary Grant watches the Newlywed Game?" He says, "Oh, yeah, we're a real couple." I said, "What do you mean you're a real couple?" He said, "We only have one toothbrush."
Oh, more than you wanted to know right there.
It sure was.
Amazing. Yeah, I got to talk to Buddy Hackett on the phone one time in Las Vegas. Yeah, he was a character for sure. Absolutely.
Well, and he insisted that it be cold because if it's too warm, the laughs rise. And he couldn't stand anybody smoking. So one time he was up on the stage, and I think it was the Sahara,
mm-hmm.
and the guy in the front row was smoking, and he just stopped. He says, "Hey, jerk, put that cigarette out." The guy says, "It's my cigarette. I'll just keep it." He says, "You put that," and boy, he just nailed this guy.
Wow.
I find out the guy was the president of U.S. Rubber, and Hackett had to find a new casino to work in.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, he was definitely a character for sure. I know you also produced the Toni Tennell show. I read. What was she like? I used to love the Captain and Tennell show. She seemed like a great person.
She was a great person. She was fun to work with, and it was a good time. her husband was a little difficult, but Tony did a great job. She really did.
Also, wow, and also you worked in, of course, some movies as well. The Payback and also Home Alone 2. Tell us about that. What was your experience with Home Alone 2?
You know, it happened so long ago, and I'm still getting residuals for it. By the way, I got $1.50 the other day.
Really?
I think the little guy was watching me on television in Home Alone 2. And forgive me, but I don't quite remember everything about it. You know.
Right. Yeah.
But movies were not my thing.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it, and I ended up not enjoying management either. I just did the concerts, and then I did the television. You know what I'm doing now is I've had such a wonderful time. There's an organization called Cameo, and you go online to find Cameo,
right?
And then if you'll look up my name, Bob Eubanks, if there's somebody important in your life, you know, having a birthday, a wedding anniversary, or whatever it is,
right?
I will cut a video for you.
How cool is that?
And you can give that to that person. So if anybody out there has somebody important or an important event, just go online to Cameo, look up my name, and you'll give them the information, and then I'll cut a video for you, and you give me the words. So it's really a good deal. You know, at my age, I'm doing Cameo, and I have a Beatles show called Backstage with the Beatles,
right?
Of which I tell seldom heard stories, and I have a Beatle band on stage with me, and I've been doing that. But I'm going to do Cameo, the Beatles show, and then there are these Comic-Con conventions that I go to also.
Right.
So at this point in my life, that's what I'm doing, and I'm having a good time.
Right.
I have a beautiful wife. I have 4 children. My young son, Noah, is he's a junior at San Diego State, and he's 5 A's and a B. My wife is the #1 wedding planner in this community, and I'm very blessed.
Yeah, and you also did the Tournament of Roses parade for what, like 38 years? One of my favorite. 34 years. One of my favorite parades to watch of all time. Love that parade down, what's it, Colorado Boulevard there in Pasadena?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember one time Roy Rogers was the Grand Marshal. He and Dale Evans were sitting up on the back of a convertible, waving to the audience, but Roy forgot to go to the bathroom.
Wow.
And there was no place to stop, so he had a blanket, so he peed in his boot.
Amazing. And you're an awesome cowboy, right? You love horses, you love the rodeo. How did you get into that?
Well, I was cowboy all my life, and I ended up, you know, being what they call a team roper, and I participated in rodeos, and then because of my knowledge of horses, I was able to do the television for the National Finals Rodeo a couple of years.
Nice.
And then knowledge of horses helped me when I got the Tournament of Roses parade, because there were lots and lots of horses in that one too.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of my favorite parades to watch every year in New Year's for sure. And I always love seeing you on there.
I believe you take what you know and apply it somewhere else.
Right.
That's what I've been able to do. I did, like I say, the television for the rodeos. I did the Hollywood Christmas parade. Oh,
that's another one of my favorites. Absolutely love that one.
Yeah. You know, one year, Gene Autry was riding in front of Santa Claus, and everybody kept saying, "Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus." So he went home and wrote that tune, like, "Here comes Santa Claus," you know. But it's good stories.
When you started out as a disc jockey, did you ever think you'd achieve all the things that you did in your career, as far as television and a promoter and all these wonderful things you've done?
No, I never thought I would. I really didn't. I've been so blessed. I bet you've never talked to anybody that went to roller derby school, have you?
I have not, actually, no.
Well, I went to roller derby school, but it was real tough, man. People were falling all over, so I ended up becoming a figure skater. And I won the California Championship 3 years, and I placed 4th in the national championships. And then I ended up teaching skating for a while. So I've had a good time.
Amazing, amazing. And of course, you have a wonderful book out, which I love. It's called "It's in the Book, Bob." Love that one. And also, as you said, you're working on a new book right now. And
Yeah.
when is that going to come out, Bob? Any date for that yet?
It's funny when you called, I was writing Merle Haggard stories.
Are you serious? Wow.
That's serious. It's called Short Stories About Big People.
Uh-huh.
And I've got right now 276 stories. And, it's just, it's just fun. That's all I can tell you.
Amazing. I mean, 9 Emmy Awards, right? A Lifetime Achievement Award, a Golden Mike Award, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I heard it's right there, right in front of the Man's Chinese Theater, right?
Well, in front of the Egyptian Theater.
Oh, okay. So a little ways up the block.
Yeah, I was working as a doorman while I was going to radio school.
Uh-huh.
And I've always been afraid of heights.
Right.
So the manager asked me if I could wipe off the marquee.
Uh-huh.
And I said, okay. So I had raked up all the little leaves that had fallen. And I got up on the ladder and I was wiping off the marquee. And all of a sudden, these two guys come down the boulevard and they get right to my ladder and bam, they hit it.
Wow.
And I'm rolling down Hollywood Boulevard. So pretty soon I see them coming back again, and I'm prepared this time.
Mm-hmm.
So they came back, and just as they got to the ladder, they hit it again, and I zoomed down, grabbed the broom, hit this guy right in the back of the head. And as I hit him, the manager walked out of the box office.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Eubanks, you're fired." So when I got my star on the Walk of Fame, I wanted it right in front of the Egyptian, and that's where it is.
Awesome. That's so awesome to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Love that. And I have a question from a listener, Tom Payton, who loves listening to this show, and he loves you, Bob, as well. The Newlywed Game. He wants to know, was there one episode or two episodes that you thought would not air because it was too wild?
I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I know we had some unusual answers. I don't know what I can say.
Right.
But I asked a lady one time, "What's the one body part you could live without?"
Right.
And she said, "Testicles." And but I don't remember getting that far off. I'm not sure, but it might have. I don't know.
Wow. So, but anyway, so great having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, Cameo, right? Tell us about that one more time and how we can get that video.
Yes. If you log on to Cameo, Cammeo, if there's somebody important in your life you want to salute, you log on to Cameo, look up my name, Bob Eubanks, and the Cameo folks will ask you to give them the wordage, and I will cut a video. Like, for instance, if your wife's name is Sarah, "Hey, Sarah, Mike told me to wish you a happy birthday and God bless you," and that kind of a thing. So it's really special, and I enjoy doing it. My friend Jamie Barr from MASH,
Sure. He's
been doing Cameo from his front room for years, and boy, does he make the money.
That's awesome. Well, I hope you do too as well.
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks again, Bob. I really appreciate you coming on the show. It was awesome to talk with you.
My pleasure, my friend, and call me again if you ever need me.
Absolutely, I will do. Thank you so much. Bob Eubanks, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me.
You bet.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Have a great night, Bob. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye. That's Bob Eubanks right there, a legend, radio and television legend right there. And if you just joined us in the middle of the show, that was because we had a technical difficulty when the show just started. So it's cut out some of the beginning of the show, unfortunately. But we're working out all these kinks as we go along here on the brand new Star Radio Celebrity Spotlight. But we did get the most of the information from Bob about the Beatles and him being a disc jockey and working on the Newlywed Game, which was so awesome. So you did get to hear all that. So you really didn't miss much. But so I'm sorry about that. If you did miss the beginning, that was a technical difficulty, and we're working the kinks out still on the brand new Star Radio Celebrity Spotlight. I want to thank so many people for watching. Cindy, the producer here, sent me so many names here. I know Wes Winters, my buddy from Las Vegas was out there. Dennis Carini was out there. Also Beryl and her dad, Michael, the family out there in the mountains in Virginia. Thank you so much. Good friends of mine out there. Thank you. Cindy, Lake Ronkonkoma, Tom Payton. Who else was out there? Also Tommy out in Gravesend, Tricia, Sun City, Florida, my mom in Canarsie. So many people listen to the show every week. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have some more great people coming up on the new Celebrity Spotlight. Monday, May 13th is going to be our next show. It's with Elvis's fan club founder and girlfriend, Kay Wheeler. She's going to be here. She dated Elvis for a while, so that's going to be interesting. She's actually been on the show before, so I'm happy to talk to her again. That's going to be fun. Also, actor Rodney Allen Rippey, who's been on the show before. He was a big star back in the day from all those great Jack in the Box television commercials. He's done so much in his career. He's got a lot more going on. He'll inform us all about that. Also, Roy Hamilton Jr. is going to be here, the son of the legendary Roy Hamilton, who had so many great songs like You'll Never Walk Alone. He'll be here on the show. He's a great entertainer, a great singer. I know Elvis Presley was a big fan of his dad, Roy Hamilton. So we'll find out all about Roy Hamilton and his son. And I know they're doing some great shows in Las Vegas right now. So we'll talk all about that. Many more 2-stars on the way. Dean Butler is going to be here. He played Almanzo from Little House on the Prairie. He's on deck to come on board, and so many more people too. So thank you again for watching. I apologize about the beginning of this show. We're still working out those kinks, and we'll get them down. But thank you so much for listening to the New Star Radio Celebrity Spotlight. I will catch you guys, I believe, on Monday, May 13th, and that it will be with Kay Wheeler. So looking forward to that, and please join me for that. Have a great week, everybody. Weekend coming up here. I know it's a holiday week next week, so please enjoy all that, and we'll see you back here soon. Take care. Have a great one, everyone.